Hi everyone, my name is Kayla Yasmin. I am 23 years old. I'm from Philly, and I don't know if you can hear these beautiful birds chirping behind me, but today's going to be a really good day. I recently have been, I don't know, it has been a season of transition for me. I can say that. There's just so much happening in my personal life and career wise and just like internally. Like I'm feeling just so much happen inside of me that I'm like, okay, I want to cry. I want to do nothing but cry. I'm just paying attention to the thoughts that I'm having, and I'm just like, okay, these are thoughts that I no longer want to have. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I feel like I find that as I start to learn more about myself and as I start to learn more like self help and more sort of self improvement content and just information, I feel more inclined to sort of, put effort into it and actually let go of things. Um, so let this message be for those who, growing up, you were told one thing and your belief system is not at all something that you honestly even feel comfortable believing in now. Um, for example, you could probably been brought up in like a homophobic household and now you're like, bro, let the gays live, you know? Or you might just find yourself to be bisexual yourself and you're just like, oh, okay. But essentially, when we get to the point of like changing and transitioning, it is rough as hell. Like Bob Proctor talks about it being a terror barrier, and there's this essence that as you bring on a newness, because your mind was so conditioned to think one way, your nervous system like acts that way. It's sort of like a programming, like if you program something a certain way, it's going to give you that response. But as you start to change the programming, it's going to be like a little freaking jaded because it's not used to that. And so your nervous system is going to get like triggered and shit, and you're going to have to break through the terror barrier and no longer allowed old thoughts that you no longer want to believe in have a hold on your life. And I love Bob Proctor and I love his shifting paradigms and just all of his information. You were born rich, and I just love learning. But sometimes it can feel overwhelming, and I feel like I'm not alone on that. I actually just saw a TikTok. You know the trend that's going around, like, oh, that Birkin, what did it get me? Like, this girl was basically like doing that, and she was just like, just started meditating and started to be more conscious. It feels really good. It feels really good. In some ways, it feels really, really, really good as you start trying new things and as you start like being present and consciously aware of your experience. And other times, it's like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And then you try and stop, and then it's just like, I'm trying to stop, I'm trying no longer to think like this, I'm trying to get out of this scarcity mindset, and then at some point it just feels like you're beating yourself up. And I just made a TikTok recently. I have another TikTok page called Vibamins. And I basically said, if follow that if you would like. But I basically just said it is so much harder to hug yourself and reward yourself um when you kick yourself and beat yourself up every time you do bad. The hug or the reward that you need to give yourself, it's not going to feel good because you're in so much pain from how badly you beat yourself up from all the mistakes that you've made. So, with that, I know I guess I'm not the only one. I feel like shifting or just becoming consciously aware of my thoughts, but I always want to make my content to really let people know that you're not alone. You're really not alone. There are millions of people on this like planet, and what you're going through, like others are going through, and I just sort of want to be a little bit of an outlet for that. So right now I'm getting out of scarcity mindsets. I am like moving forward in a few directions, but when I tell you, the environment plays like such a huge role, and a lot of people, I feel like, look by that, but your friend group plays a huge role on what you do and what you achieve, your like family, your neighborhood, because these are the people that you're around. And when you look around or as you gather information, you're using your sensory factors. It's seeing, smelling, hearing, taste, and touch. So we use our sensory factors to sort of like know what's going on around us. But then we have mental faculties that we use to sort of navigate on like a more spiritual level. Like our sensory factories are physical, and our mental factories, which there's six of them. It's intuition, imagination, intellectual or intellect, memory, reason, and will. And all of those are really super important, and I'm going to discuss them in sort of later videos. But as you just start to gain information, as you start to learn more about yourself, it feels like life is harder, but it's not coincidental that a lot of content has been popping up on my feed about when you go through a shift, it seems like everything is falling apart. Because when I tell you my insides, I like internally, I'm just sometimes screaming at myself, and I'm not making the situation better. And I know I'm not alone on that. And I have to treat myself how I would really like treat other people, because I actually genuinely care to make sure that people actually like themselves and feel good about themselves. But I have to have that relationship with myself. So let's go on the journey together, and let's learn more about ourselves. And let's just be aware and say it right now that it's uncomfortable. It's a little challenging, I will say that. But that doesn't mean that we're putting limitations on it. Like, we can see that something's going to be a little hard, but we can still tell ourselves that we can do it, and that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail a few times. It's honestly okay to just like fuck up. Like, it happens. It happens. When I tell you, I have fucked up so many times. I've done things that I don't even know if I would have recovered from. But if I didn't do them, I would not be sitting here in this cold weather talking to you right now. So as we change, we have to acknowledge it's going to be a little challenging, but it's having like faith, and it's having this understanding that we're good. Like, we're good. There's something out there that is bigger than us, that has created us, and that is actively, proactively looking out for our best interests. And we just got to go with it. You're seeing me right now, I'm really just here to tell you that by putting yourself first, by knowing yourself, by learning more of yourself, you're going to actually maybe start enjoying life a little bit more. Oh, it's really starting to rain. I was confused. I was like, what the hell is that sound? But it's starting to rain, and I don't feel the rain for some reason. It's like it's a certain cloud. I don't know, but and now it's stopping. Okay. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, because sometimes we don't hear that enough. I'm so proud of you. Um, I know you're not alone on this. Well, I'm going to say I'm not alone on this. And that's why I'm making this stuff, because I know there's other people that have these thoughts. Um, when it comes down to judging yourself off of appearances, that it's such a physical limitation, because a physical appearance, we're just looking at how, like, we're just seeing how we look. And as I mentioned, that's a sensory factor. If we went based on everything on the physical aspect, we'd be limited, because there's only so much you can do. But as we start to get into the more spiritual aspect, we'll start to begin to learn and understand that things are so expansive. So yeah, when you're looking at yourself, know that you're beautiful, and know that there's no one else on this goddamn planet that looks like you. There's no one else that's speaking like you. There's no one else that's carrying your sass. There's no one else that's carrying, like, you're smart as hell too. And sometimes you are a little bit better than you give yourself credit for. So start like acknowledging parts of you that maybe you don't even see in yourself yet, but you know that they're there. Because as you start to acknowledge them and put them in the front line, then they'll really come out, and then you'll be able to see them. So know that it's okay when life feels a little like, what the fuck am I doing? Because there's something bigger and higher than you that's taking care of everything, even if you can't see it. And there's an Abraham Hicks mantra affirmation that they always say, which is, things are always working out for me, even if I can't see it. So things are always working out for me, even if I can't see it. All right. I appreciate you being here. Stay tuned for more. I'm going to be posting super often because I just had a social media meeting with one of my agencies, and I was like, I really need to get on my P's, Q's, X, Y's, and Z's. So here I am. Okay. Thank you again. Have an amazing day. And if you continue to scroll, don't get so mad about yourself for scrolling. Sometimes I scroll, but then I realize it's like I just want a lot of information. I just want to be so analytical. I mean, I could be, researching and like doing a little bit more better research aspects, but you can go on TikTok and you get 10 different like sources of information, and then it expands and grows on other things that you've seen and that you have interest in. So really you only have like one life, or we're going to go through this particular life experience in this specific body, um with the specific people that we're around and this economy and this life. So let's make the fucking best out of it. And if you've gone to college, then like when you're in college, you're sort of like, oh my gosh, like I can't wait to get out. Like I'm ready for money, blah 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 blah. And then once you get out, you realize like, put me back in, put me back in. Um, or if people can't relate to the college part, when you're a baby, you're like, all right, boom, it's time to come out. And then as you're living, sometimes it's like, damn, put me back in, but you can't go back in. You can't go back in. It's unrealistic and it can't happen. So start to embrace the life that you have and know that you are inherently fucking worthy of anything you put your mind to. And it's okay for those challenging times to come, because you are always learning about yourself every single day, and make that the adventure of life. You're learning, like you're a specimen, you're a plant, you're something that no one knows really about, because you have an infinite potential. You and everyone else around you have this infinite potential. So by you learning more about yourself, you are basically your number one researcher. You are your like you're your number one in everything. So I think it's just best to always put you first, and to love yourself, be kind to yourself, and work with yourself, because you're doing things that you were never taught. You're breaking cycles that you didn't even fucking know existed. You were born into it. And now they're like, oh, codependency, let that go. Oh, scarcity, let that go. And it's like, so everyone else who came before me didn't want to do this. Everyone who came before me didn't want to do this so that I can walk into the life of abundance, or no, that I could be born into the life of abundance. No, I have to make the life of abundance. I have to create it. But we're here. We're here. We're not complaining. We're not complaining. So yeah. Thank you for watching. I love you. Bye, friend.